how do you perform under pressure in your business? For so many business owners, they tend to crumble under pressure. As somebody with ADHD, I thrive under pressure. I want to give you my 3 top tips of how I create high performance environments when the pressure is heightened and the stakes are at their highest, so you can get the most results out of your business. So as a business owner, we've been talking a lot about these high pressure situations, experiencing burnout, experiencing huge amounts of frustration, and coming down to the realization that as a business owner, a lot of your success is going to be determined by your ability to endure pain and suffering for extended amounts of time. I know it sounds horrible, but there's so many people out there that think that starting a business is just free cash flow. I start a business and I'm going to crush it and I'm going to make all of this money and it's all going to be sunshine and lollipops. And that's not how the world works. We've got to realize that capital markets and the economy is built on a risk versus reward ratio. And ultimately, you are remunerated and you are rewarded commensurate to the risks that you take in this world. It's the reason why if you keep money in cash or in government bonds, you make a very low return. And if you go and punt on speculative investments like the next BitDog coin, then you can be rewarded handsomely, but there is a relative and proportionate amount of risk. Now, when we think about it, in the risk scale, if we think about government bonds, and then we think about, say, residential property, and we think about, say, shares, and then we've got small business, and then speculative investments like cryptocurrency, the risk-reward ratio shifts and changes. So as a business owner, one of the biggest risks that we have is how we regulate our own emotions through our strategic decision-making. I've spoken in the past about the idea that as a business owner, as a human being, we don't make bad decisions on purpose. We choose the best option on life's menu at the time. However, that menu does shift and change when your emotions shift and change as well. In other words, when you are in good spirits, when you're confident, when you've had a track record of success, your ability to make really good decisions that put you into really great positions is ultimately much more likely, right? On the flip side, when you're down in the dumps, you're kind of defeated, you've done it tough, there is a likelihood that you are going to make bad decisions, or at least flawed decisions, because of that confirmation bias of your past experience. This is the reason why that in the trading game, we talk about capital markets, traders who have a long track record or a track record of losses for, say, a couple of months are typically taken off the trading floor because they know the likelihood of them being able to turn that around based on the behavioral psychology associated with those financial principles is actually much, much lower. So what do? Well, you need to get clear on how you create an operating system of making decisions in high stress and high pressure. When you're neurodivergent like I am, it actually comes naturally. As somebody with ADHD, we have a kind of a neural deficit of regulation of dopamine. And what that means in day-to-day, business as usual, executive function is limited. Little things like cleaning the house, general admin, these mundane tasks and responsibilities are really difficult for me. So I need to surround myself with people that are experts in doing those tasks. However, when shit hits the fan, when pressure is very high, when problems occur, that's when I'm at my best, because it's an immediate dump of dopamine, I hyperfixate, and I work my way through those challenging times with ease. Like, I think about it, I speak to a lot of my friends who are business owners, even clients. They lose sleep over their business. They dwell on the sheer burden of responsibility of their business. That takes a tremendous toll, right? Once again, it perpetuates this situation of like, I'm in a shit situation, I'm not dealing with it well, and then you can't sleep, then you dwell on it more, you're tired, you're beat down, you're rugged. That's not a condition that's conducive to great results, is it? So how do you break the cycle? Tip number 1, you need to know your numbers. Numbers do not lie. Now, interesting statistic, a quote the other day, I was chatting to a client and he said, there's numbers, and there's lies. So it just goes to show that you can't hide from the numbers. If you understand the numbers, you can use the numbers to make informed and educated decisions, irrespective of your emotional state. The prerequisite there is that you need to have a respect and commitment to those numbers. And you need to have predetermined what are the measures or the metrics in which you make certain decisions based on what those numbers are telling you. We do this for our clients in terms of determining whether they are in growth phase or if they're in optimization phase. So for example, if they have less than 3 months cash to expenses, if they have less than a 30% operating profit, and they have less than 100% recurring revenue to expenses or existing client revenue to new client revenue, then they're in optimization phase. And their number of decisions that they can make are drastically limited as a result. Tip number 2 is that you need to have a playbook that you reference. Now, the interesting things with doing like decades of martial arts, when you train in the gym and you train a new move, right? And then you go into a competition, the likelihood you're ever going to remember to do that new move is really limited. So typically about kind of like 6 weeks out from a competition, you don't train any new moves. You just practice and you get the repetitions of your existing moves, the ones that you're really confident in, the ones that you know work, because muscle memory kicks in and basically you act on instinct. And this happens second nature without you even having to think. Whereas when you're trying to work out what you need to do, how you need to do it in the spur of the moment in a high pressure situation, you're either never going to do it or you're not going to do it well. And tip number 3 is that you need to reflect frequently and often. The reflection loop is one of the most valuable tools in my repertoire. Normally I have a process for this. I reflect weekly, I reflect monthly, I reflect quarterly, I reflect annually. And I'm like, okay, over these time periods, what is it that I'm actually trying to achieve? What is my objective measure of success? Is it business value? Is it top line revenue? Is it profitability? Is it some other type of metric, personal wealth, surplus, whatever it might be? Then we need to go and do the work, right? And then we need to have a method for reflection to say, okay, well, this is what I said I was going to do. This is what actually happened. What is the difference between what I thought was going to happen and what actually happened, both positive and negative? And what can I learn from that experience to calibrate my perception into the future? Doing this, particularly in really challenging times and tough situations, is critically important. And this is the time where most people don't reflect at all because they don't want to marinate in their pain. Once again, you need to be prepared to do what it takes that other people are not if you want to be successful in business. Not all times are going to be hard, but you are going to be tested. And how you respond in those high pressure situations will determine whether you are actually an entrepreneur, whether you actually have what it takes to navigate the times and thrive in bad times as well as good, and then ultimately earn the success that comes after the hardship, because it typically always does. Let me know your thoughts, guys. I hope this is valuable. I'm sure there's somebody out there who needs to hear this.